Yeah. Sounds good. So I'm going to introduce our special guest for this evening, Pattie Ptak. She's the CEO and owner of Practice on Purpose, a business consulting firm for doctors and health experts. Pattie was the co-owner of a busy wellness center in Santa Monica for 18 years. She also worked as a congressional intern and also in Hollywood. Do you have any stories for us, Pattie? Pattie?
We're not going to tell them tonight.
Don't get us started.
It will be a long night.
Pattie was the lead coach for the Mindshare Collaborative, JJ Virgin program, and it helped her really get that on the map. And Pattie translates all her unique business experience to the healthcare model. And our talk for tonight is how to use packages and programs to create lifetime loyal patients. Thank you, Pattie.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Ben. Well, I have my own microphone. What should
Oh,
I do with
okay.
this? I don't know what to do. We have so many microphones. Do I need a microphone? I guess
Yes,
I do, right? 'Cause
it's
we're
best if
recording.
you use a
Hello,
microphone.
testing. Okay,
Yes.
all right, great. And you're going to sit over there? Okay. All right. I'm all by myself up here. So, thank you so much, Ben. It's really, no, you don't have to sit up there, please. I don't just be looking at you. No, I'll be looking at you. No, go sit back over there. Sit over there. Just leave me up here.
Always being told what to do by pretty women.
And you
That's
listen,
good.
it's
That's
good.
the way it should be. Exactly. Yeah, none of this is crap. Anyway, so thank you so much, Ben. Thank you for inviting me to be here. I'm really, really happy to be here. It's my honor and a privilege to be here talking to you guys. Ben said that, I've worked in Washington, D.C., and, I like to say that I have a varied background, right? So it's not your typical background of someone who's running a clinic. So, I worked in Washington, D.C., and I worked for my congressman for a year and a half, and I like to say that I helped him get his campaign off the ground. And then I worked in aerospace, in the aerospace industry, and I did a lot of systems. I was a system analyst and efficiency expert, and also did some outside sales. But then I got airplanes off the ground. And now I'm helping doctors to get their practice off the ground. So what is your strategy to keep people in your office? Like, besides tying them up and hand feeding them, how do you do it, right? Like what is it? What's that magic potion to get them to come back to you? Well, I think one of the things is to, gain their trust. And, when I had, when the doctor that I was seeing, when he said, I can't see you anymore unless you let me adjust you, he had the know, like, and trust factor going for him. In marketing, we always say people buy from people that they know, like, and trust. So you really have to establish that with someone first in order for them to trust you enough in order to want to really do business with you. Plus, there was some social proof going on. I had met a few people that he adjusted. They seemed fine. They didn't seem, they were still alive. They actually looked like they were doing pretty good. So there was that. So that's another important factor in, getting people to stick with you for a while, is to get the know, like, and trust, and then some social proof. So using packages and programs. So that's what we're going to talk about. And I passed out some of these here, the cash creation worksheet. So we're going to be talking about that. So, you can follow along with it. You can download it on your smartphone if you have a phone. You can, if you want one of these. So you can go to pattiepatak.com/cash. And it comes up on your phone. You can follow along, but I'm going to also put it up here on the
It's a little too slow in here.
screen. What?
The
Oh, the internet is too slow.
That's your
Oh, okay.
website. That's
Oh, right, because we're in a basement. That's right. So.
It's also posted to the Facebook page as well.
And it's on the Facebook
Right.
page, yes. So there's, so you can go home and do it. But I'm going to post it. It's going to be up here in the PowerPoint, and we're going to talk about it. And then I'm also going to ask for volunteers if you would like to be a volunteer, and we'll create something for you. So let's talk about, it costs a lot to get new patients, right? It's expensive. It's really expensive to go out there, all the marketing costs and everything. So if you can figure out how to keep more of the new patients that you see, you're going to be way ahead of the game, right? So if there's some way that we can get them to come back and we can offer them something, a lot of times there's just not an offer. Like they don't know, they're not opposed to seeing you more, but there's just not an easy way for them to interact with you or with your program. So this makes it super easy. So here are some of the reasons to make, to offer packages and programs. So number one, it really sets you apart as the expert so that they know, like they know you know what you're talking about, right? You've got the program. And it really helps everybody to, it helps them to make that decision. It helps them to know what's going on and what you are. So they don't have to make a decision. They don't have to decide like whether or not they're going to take their, girlfriend out to dinner or they're going to come and see you. So when you first, when you see them in your office, you give them their report of findings, you give them, what's going on with them, and you offer them a package. When you first see them, they're willing, right? They're usually they're kind of like I was desperate, right? I had just had enough and I was just at the end of my rope. And so I said, I'll do anything that you say in order for me to feel better. So, it really helps if you have a long-term program. Sometimes people see you a couple times and then they feel better and they're not inclined to finish the care because they feel better, right? It's sort of like, well, it's not that important and I've got these other priorities and my health is not the biggest priority right now. So it makes it easy for them not to follow through on your care plan. So, let's see, and then it also makes it easier for you in your office because you have, your staff and you and the patient, you're all on the same page. So you can create, those protocols so that on the third visit, everybody in the office knows that this is what's going to happen. So when the patient comes in, it's the third visit, everyone knows what's happening on the third visit. So you're going to maybe do a retest, or if it's the sixth visit, it's going to be a re-exam. So everything is very repeatable, and so you don't have some, sometimes there's chaos in your office where it's like, nobody knows what's going to happen, and they have to ask you what's going on with this patient. So everybody knows what the protocols are supposed to be. So that's another reason it really helps you to all be on the same page, right? So this is basically what it is. So we're going to, first of all, there are 4 steps of creating your program. So we're going to start with the first one, which is create your timeline. So we're going to take a look. So now, would anybody like to volunteer to come up and really kind of be the guinea pig? And yeah, okay, come on up. So what we're going to do is do you want to introduce yourself again? So talk a little bit about what you do, what your practice is.
I just put a piece of candy in my mouth. I'm a clinical nutritionist. I'm based in Culver City, and I see basically anybody that needs help that hasn't been getting better with conventional means. I recently have started seeing a lot more children, so I'm always looking for resources and information on that.
Okay, all right, perfect. So do you typically have a period of time that you work with them?
I have set up some packages. I have a 3-month and I set up a 6-month package.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I'm looking at a 1 month now, which I don't feel is necessarily enough to get some, bang for your buck with interventions. But I have people that are interested in doing that.
Right. Okay. So then let's start with the. Okay. So then let's start with the. So I think the 3-month is better than a 1 month because it's very low. I mean, you could do maybe a 6-week or something. That would be, if that's something that you could affect a change in. So we could start with, and then what sorts of things do you work with them on? Is it certain conditions or?
It runs the gamut: autoimmune disease, digestive issues, hormone problems, kind of a little bit of everything.
Okay. So let's focus in on one. Maybe we'll just focus in on one thing. So what would you think the first?
Let's do digestive issues.
Digestive. Okay. And so how many weeks would you need for that? What would be the idea?
Probably at least 6 to 8 weeks. At
Okay.
least.
Okay. So then you would do an 8-week program?
8 weeks.
8 weeks. Okay. So that would be 8 weeks. And that's digestive. So then we want to look at catchy names. So some kind of a name, it doesn't have to necessarily be catchy, but something that talks about the benefits of what that program does. I'm trying to get in that.
Now I'm not ready for that.
Okay.
No, you're fine.
So it's an 8-week digestive program. So this is for kids. Okay, so what are some of the outcomes that happen when someone does your 8-week digestive program? Like, what do the kids say? Is there something that they say? Is there something their mothers say? What kind of feedback do you get?
Improved digestive symptoms,
What would the symptoms be?
constipation, diarrhea,
Constipation, okay.
gas, bloating.
So constipation, gas, bloating,
reflux.
okay, so reduced all that. And then what about those are the symptoms. So the 8 weeks,
8 weeks to a happy tummy.
8 weeks to a happy tummy. That's a good one. Yeah. Okay, so a happy tummy in
Sure.
8 weeks. Happy tummy in 8 weeks. Okay, so 8 weeks to a happy tummy. Okay, so I suggest that you do, typically you can do 3 at a time. We're not going to do 3 at a time right now, but just when you start to brainstorm and you start to think about these things, so you start to get more ideas. And a lot of times the services that you can offer are the same for the different ones. And you'll see what I'm talking about when we go further. So then step 2 will be assess your services. So there are certain things that you put into that program, right? So when you're working with someone on their digestive issues, there are certain steps that you take them through that are going to affect the change, right? So that's the next step is to really assess what services you're going to put into the program. So what is it going to take to get the best results for the client on this program?
Start with an in-depth
So-
intake.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Yeah, so how many visits? So yeah, it's up here. So how many visits are there? Are there re-exams involved? Which lab tests do you want to do? Are there certain treatments? What are deliverables or services that you can provide? Or you can partner with someone else to provide. So, I mean, in your case, so in some cases you can actually partner with someone else. You can offer someone else's, services. Maybe you maybe you have someone else in your practice that provides counseling services or something like that. So you can look at how can you add more value to this package and this program and what you're doing. So I want to just sort of brainstorm what the things are, and then we want to kind of break it down into 2 areas. So what are the must-have things? So what are the absolutely the essential things that need to happen in order to make this program very successful? And then what are the nice to have, right? So if you're doing a detox program, a must-have would be maybe some detox supplements, diet plan, meal plan, all that, some accountability. But a nice to have would be maybe a body wrap, a detox body wrap. So that's nice to have, but it's not a must-have, right? Or maybe it's a sauna that you have in your office. It's nice to have, but it's not a must-have. So can you name some stuff that that are the must-haves for your program? Yeah.
I must have an in-depth intake.
Okay.
So,
So,
assessment.
Okay, so let's look at, so I always like to do the intake separate from the program, right? Because usually people will come in, they're not going to be ready to pay you for a whole package until they've met you and they know that you've assessed the situation and that they know and feel confident, like they know, like, and trust you, right? They have to really know that you're going to be able to help them. So I always recommend that the package is always offered on the second visit or maybe even sometimes the third visit. So you want to have your intake always separate, and then when you present the treatment plan to them, that's when you would give them some options for a program. You're talking about what their issues are and how you can best help them solve those issues. So besides the in-depth intake.
So once they're on board for the package. So for example, the 3 and the 6 month, I was doing every other week, so 2 sessions. It would include 2 sessions a month.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so many email communications.
Okay, so let's do this would be exams, right? And that would be, is that like a 30-minute exam, 60 minutes?
45. Usually.
Okay, so that's just a, that's so 45 minutes. So, and that would be 2 of those?
2. I changed. I upped it to 4.
I think that's a really good start. And then the supplements could be in addition to. You know, that would be a nice to have. So it's not a must have for your program, but it's a nice to have. So then what you would do is we would take a look at all of these things. So now we've kind of written down all of those things that we can do. So these are the must-haves. So nice to have would be supplements. And then you would itemize out like what the supplements would be. So so then let's take a look at the next one here.
Another must.
So what was the other must-have?
Just conventional labs are always helpful to look at as I get started as well with
Mhm.
people when we get into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but that could just go under.
It would go under labs.
So that would just go under the labs, and then you could customize it for the person. But you know, this is kind of a good outline for you to really kind of figure out, and then you've got stuff to pick and choose from when you're creating a specific package for someone. So it just makes it super easy for you to sit down and go, okay, so here's the plan for this person, and these are the labs that I want to do. And also, if you have all of these things, you can have a staff member do it. Then you can just sort of say, this is what I want to include in this program, and then they can just kind of write it up and do that. So, so then the next thing that we want to do is establish the pricing. So how much is that? How much does it cost you to do a consult with a patient? Do you know what your overhead is? How do you figure? Okay. All right, so yeah, and that's one of the tricky things is really how to figure out what your time is worth. And a lot of doctors, when they do this, they don't figure out their time. They don't add in their time, but that's really super important, right? For you to figure that out and to also know what is your overhead. How much does it actually cost you to see patients? So one way that you can figure out what your overhead is to look at all of the, take a look at all your expenses. Put in your workers' comp, what is your electric bill, how much is all your insurance, how much do you pay your employees. Take a look at everything that you have to pay for, and your rent, everything. Add that all up, and then look at how many patients you see. And so you divide that into how many people you're seeing, and that's what your overhead is. So, I mean, basically that's how much it's really costing you to see one patient at your current volume of patients. So that way then what's my target, right? How many patients do I really need to see in order to meet my overhead, and how much how much is it really costing me? Now that was sort of a kind of like an add-on there. So, but just to kind of get the idea of how to do it, so this is really what you do. Now over here in the example, so we have consultations $350, supplements were, the wholesale cost $125, and then the retail is $250. And then this is for a weight loss program. So we did exercise with oxygen, and that was 6 visits of that. So the wholesale cost of that was $60. and then the retail price was $360. So this is for, you know, for each one. So because it wasn't very much, right? Oxygen doesn't cost you very much to do as a practitioner. You've got the machine and all that already. So then you just look at all of those things. So we included infrared sauna, home exercise videos, access to a private forum. We assigned a price to that. So that cost us like basically $10, not that much, to just have someone monitoring the Facebook, you know, the Facebook page so that, you know, people could interact there. And then the practitioner time. So then we, you know, that was the whole cost. Sale cost was, you know, $200 on that, and then the retail price $400. So if there was anybody else, so then you would just add up those two columns, and then you get what your wholesale cost is. You know, basically what it's going to cost you to deliver this program, and then the retail cost, and then what, you know, kind of what the cost is to the patient. So then at the end, you have two numbers, which is $825 here, which is your actual cost to deliver the program. And then once you add up all of these things, the value that you're giving to the patient is $19.60. So yeah, so this is easier to really just kind of look at it as a, you know, as a theoretical, so we don't get too far into the weeds and pricing this. So we want to look at, sorry, this is kind of hard to see. So the profit margins and the discounts. So this chart right here allows us to figure out how much profit we can actually build into this program, and how much are we willing to discount this program, because really, you know, the whole idea is that you provide an incentive for the patient to get the program. And it's always, you know, good when you show them the value of what they're getting, and based on what you're actually charging them, that's where, you know, they really go, wow, this is great, I'm getting a whole lot of value. Because in our, you know, here in the example, you know, the cost in terms of looking at how many services they're getting $1,969 worth of services, right? So, but then you're taking a look. So on this particular program, what you would do is you would take, you would subtract your wholesale cost from the retail price, and that gives you what's in column 4. So $800 is the minimum profit that, you know, I said that I would take on this program. And so we're doing this so that you can have someone else make a financial arrangement with your patients, so that it doesn't have to be you, it can be another staff member, and you can give them leeway in order to put a discount on the program. Does that make sense? Do you have any questions? Yes.
How did you determine column 4?
Column 4, that was the minimum profit. So I said that I wanted to make.
It's just a number you.
Right, that's what I said.
Okay.
So for me, it's worth
It wasn't
it
math,
to
it was
do this
just what you
program. No,
said.
it's just like my arbitrary saying, I'm not going to do this for less than $800. I'm not going to take care of this person for 6 weeks for less than $800 in terms of the profit, how much profit I can put into my pocket without the overhead or anything. So that's how you kind of determine that. So you just really figure out how much profit you're willing to take, and then how much leeway you have in adding the discounts. So it gives you and your staff a range. So you can charge $16.25 at the low for this program. That's the least amount that you can charge for the program. And then the most amount for the program that you would charge is $19.69. So that way you can look at what that discount is. Does that make sense? I hate to thoroughly confuse everybody. Okay.
This is really helpful.
All right. Okay, good. All right, yeah. Because see, this was the part that I kind of struggled with, was because I did a lot of packages and programs. I did high weight loss program, and we did spinal rehab programs where we had people come in for a year. And so I was like, how do you price that? I mean, it was just like, how do you really price a year worth of care? And as the, you know, things go down, you figure it out like that.
Question about the supplements. How do you determine the price for the supplements? how do you know what they need? I mean, not everybody needs the same supplements, the same amount, the same type, you know. How
Yeah.
do you determine the price for that?
Well, for the different programs that I had, I figured out what supplements they needed.
So you just made like a list, that's what I want,
So I had, so I have a list of that. And I had the ones that were, you know, I had some that were a certain price, and then there were some upsells.
Okay.
If you want fiber as well, or if you want probiotics too, it's not a must-have, it's a nice-to-have.
Okay.
But what are the essentials?
All right.
So in a detox program, I'd have just the essentials.
All right.
And then we'd just kind of add on from there. And that would be a more expensive program, and you can get that package for more. So, yeah.
What if you don't know what they're gonna need until, on those extras, until you're like a few weeks into the program, things become more clear? When you say upsell, are you saying it's separate from the package, or what are you saying exactly?
Yeah, so as their needs change, I mean, you've probably got some things built in, right? Some re-exams built in, and then you would let them know, okay, on week 7, typically I find that we're gonna need to adjust your supplements. You may need more, you know, we may need to add some more, we may need to take some away, but just to let you know that this is something that we're gonna discuss on that visit.
Right, but my question is, do you add money in? So you've already put how much you put aside a certain amount of money for the supplements. So what if you need more things?
Well,
What do you do?
you tell them that up front.
You know,
So you would tell them up front.
That they might need to pay
Mhm.
some extra
Mhm.
at
Yeah.
later time.
And they
Okay,
it could be this, it could be that.
okay.
I sell packages that just don't include the supplements, and they just pay the supplements separately. And I tell them approximately how much they'll spend a month on it.
That's
Yeah,
not right.
and that's a good.
I'm wondering if maybe, the package deal is a little tricky when you're dealing with a sick patient, and then you're not sure how they're gonna respond, and then, you recommend some supplements, and they don't do well with them, and they get sick on them, so you're gonna recommend something else, and
Yeah.
maybe like, this works better for like the detox program and but when you're dealing with a sick patient, and then you have to see how they respond, and then halfway through, so.
Yeah.
So it's a little trickier.
Yeah, so it is tricky, and in that case, I would recommend that you don't
Yeah.
add supplements. Like you
Right.
don't include the supplements in the program, and you include the other things that they're gonna need. So it might be like a sauna, it might be, some other kind, it might be exercise with oxygen, it might be something else that you have in your, in your tool belt,
Right.
something else that you've got in your practice, that you're gonna include in that.
Yeah, I saw somebody online who had you could buy her digestive program, and then there was sort of a questionnaire that the person filled out, and the average person they got the SIBO test, and they got the stool analysis, and then if they filled out this questionnaire in a certain way, then they also got the food allergy testing, and it was this price or this price, and they could buy that digestive program. And it's probably easier not to include the supplements since we're trying to individualize it.
Yeah.
Or even the labs.
Yeah, I
I
would
do
think
those
of
services,
Well, it
but I
depends.
don't, I
If you
have
do-
the labs
If
and
you
then
do
the
cash
special
price for the
ones.
labs, then,
Yeah.
then it's a set price.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're gonna do
But I don't know
the,
which labs.
You're also,
I mean, if it's not the digestive.
And you may not want to include that because the patient can pay the lab directly,
Yeah.
right? So you just say, I need these labs, but you have to bring that in. So it's not included in the package. This is what I do, and you have to get your own lab test. Pay for that directly, yeah. Yeah,
One of the issues that this was in my face is if you're doing the stool test, food allergy testing, not so much food allergy, but stool testing, some of these are Genova Nutrival. As an MD, I get it covered by insurance. Okay, you don't. And the patients never know that. I've had patients come to me and they've spent thousands on tests, and I'm looking at it and I'm saying, oh my God, it could have been covered by their insurance, and they weren't told. So I'm just putting this out. I don't know it really came to me more recently, because for some reason I've been getting these patients, for them to be able to work through their doctor or through another functional medicine doctor who is willing to cover because it really costs them a
Yeah.
fortune.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're paying $1,000 for Nutraval when they could pay $169 copay,
Okay, well, thank you so much for being our volunteer. So, okay, good. All right. So, this whole worksheet is downloadable. So just go to the address that's in the forum, and you can download it, and then kind of take a look. And there's instructions on there and whatever. So then the next thing that you want to do is establish the total package and scheduling protocols. So then just sit down with the calendar and then figure it out. So like, you're saying that you're seeing them, once a week. So then you just figure out like this is sort of the schedule. So you want to do, once a week visits, and then you want to do a reevaluation if you're doing a re-exam, and just all the things. And then another meal plan. Maybe you're giving them another meal plan at the re-eval. So whatever it is, you just sort of schedule that out so that your staff knows how often to schedule things for people, right? Just depending on what you're adding into the price. But it just always helps to have a calendar in front of you to just really say this is what's going to happen then. And then the next thing is to sell your program. So now we need the, kind of the sort of the structure and the framework in order to sell the program to your clients. So one of the things that I found was really effective when I was doing, weight loss programs is to put together a binder like this. And I'll pass it around so you can kind of all take a look at it. But this has just all of so this would be for the 6 weeks to Slim and Sexy program, which is the one that we were talking about. That was the example that I used. So you put everything in here that the client's going to get. So in that program, we had infrared sauna. So when you're going over the program, you're making a financial arrangement with them. You want to show them. So it's like a tangible thing. So you're really going through. So you're getting this, and you're getting this, and you're getting this. So, and that way they can see it. So something about the psychology of buying. They feel like they're really actually getting something, because if you're just saying that, okay, the program's $2,000 and here's what you're going to get, blah, 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 they're like, wow, that's a lot of money. But if you're going through a book with them and you've got all the benefits, and it's all about benefits. It really, when you're talking about things, you want to speak in terms of the benefits that they're going to get, not the, it's not like, it's sort of like the difference between my friend Lisa Sasevich. She says, people do not buy the plane, they buy the destination, right? They want to buy where they're going to get. They want to buy the ultimate outcome of what they're going to get by doing your program. They're not going to buy, it's going to take, you're going to have to take 3 planes, and you're going to have to, change airports. And yeah, I don't want to know that. I don't want to go. If I knew that I was going to have to do that to go to Machu Picchu, I would have said, forget it. I'm not going. I'm going to go to Hawaii. It's 1 plane, and I'm there, and it's easy, and I'm on the beach. Mm-hmm. But I said I want to go to Machu Picchu, and I booked the thing, and then I realized, I got to change planes. I got to do this. I got to do that. But if they told me beforehand, I might not have gone. So that's, you want to talk about the destination, not the journey, right? You want to get them into it. So you just really, talk about the, conquering emotional eating, getting your cravings under control. So these are the accountability things. These are the, the support that they're going to get. So if you want to take a look at this, pass it around, just kind of a way that you can add more value. So it's really all about adding value. The more that you can value add into the program, think of things that you can provide to your patients that they don't necessarily cost you a lot of money, but there's a high perceived value. So it may be that if you have a health coach in your office and they're doing accountability, they're going to be, meeting with the patient. So just think of all the ways that something that's going to add to your program, but it's going to also add a lot of value to the client that's your potential client. And then, also a little bit about knowing your ideal client. That's another thing. So it's one thing when they're in your office, but if you wanted to throw a wider net for this program that you created, you want to look at, who would be an ideal program, or who would be an ideal client for this program. So that part of it is knowing who your ideal client is. So that's almost like another talk completely, is really kind of finding your ideal client, but just knowing that there are certain clients that would really be attracted to a program like the one that you're creating. And then it's when you know who your ideal client is, then you'll be able to know where to find them. And especially now with social media, there's really ways that you can specifically target that audience, and you can find ways to really speak to them. So, and then the last thing that I want to talk about is to help your clients say yes. Because, we talked a little bit about the willingness. Like I said, that I was so desperate, that I was really kind of at the end of my rope when I finally said, okay, of course, getting threatened is going to break up with me. That's another thing too, right? But it's really when someone is really ready to make that decision, right? They may have struggled with this health problem for years, and they're finally now doing something about it. And we know, that's kind of how it goes, right? People have been suffering and they've been struggling for a while. They finally come into your office, they finally decide they want to fix this problem, and then, it's like they're finally willing to do something about it. So it's like that door of willingness, it's open and cracked. So what we want to do is want to stick a wedge in it. We want to really make it stick so that they can follow through with the program. Because like I said, they may just decide they start to feel better. You give them some supplements, you start to fix their problem, it's not fixed, but they start to feel better. And then it's not a priority anymore. And that's when they disappear. That's when you get the clients that are just gone. So by really helping them to make this decision now, that they're going to do the program, that they really want to fix this, they want to change their life, and it's really time, that's when you're going to be able to get them to affect the change. And one of the ways that you can do it is to offer discounts. You throw in some bonuses, if they make the decision now, if they're able to make the decision and really commit to doing the program right now, you'll give them some discounts. Maybe you'll give them some free services. Maybe they'll get, free saunas, because the saunas don't really cost you that much money to do, right? It's like $10 a piece or something like that. They're in there for 20 minutes. You don't have to have a staff watching them. It doesn't cost you hardly anything to do. So you can bonus them that. So if you can decide now, we'll bonus you the saunas. That's worth, $600. We're going to take that off. We're going to bonus you, this and that and the other, so whatever you can. But that's why I did that range in there, so you can see how much leeway you actually have. So what is it actually going to take for that client to be able to make the decision and say, yes, I'm going to buy it. So that's it. So, it's really kind of, it encourages people to, the package encourages people to have continuity. It really encourages them to stick with the program, to stay with it. And then guess what? When they get great results on your program and they actually stick to it, they're feeling so much better, and they're really, they're so happy when they're at the end of it. And then you can offer them another kind of continuity program so that they're really tied to you, and they know that you know what you're doing. They know they've gotten some great results. So it's sort of like, what's next? It's almost like the problem solution, right? And we know how that goes, right? So you got rid of, the one thing, maybe you got rid of the headaches, but now you have this other thing. Now, I've got a little low back pain, I've got something else going on. So, but they're right there with you, and you can offer them some other sort of program, or you can offer them some kind of a way to stay tied to your office. So maybe it's, something where they pay a monthly fee, you have lectures in your office. So there's a lot of different things that you can do to create community around your office. And now, are there any questions? Do you guys have any questions? Further questions? Anything more?
Well,
Yeah.
what if, sort of midway through, someone, I don't know, the supplements aren't agreeing with them, or
Who knows what? And they want their money back. How do you handle that kind of thing? The whole thing?
It's a long, well, no, not everything, you gotta get.
So that's my question, what do you do?
Yeah, well, you could give them a refund on unused services. Yeah, yeah. So that's what I would do. And if you really want to be, super legal about it, you would set up a trust account. So when they pay you the money up front, you set up a trust account and you put that money in the trust account. And as they use services, you transfer money into your bank account. So that's how to make it super legal, so insurance companies don't think you're acting like an insurance company. So, but I'm not saying that you have to do that, but that's one way to handle it. And then, but I would also put that in the contract too. say, you know, you will be refunded, and also you would charge them if you offered them any bonuses, that would not be, that discount would no longer be available to them. So you would give them you would give them their money back based on the actual services they use. So say you gave them some saunas, they used the saunas, they would have to pay for that, and that would be included, that would not be included in their refund. Does that make sense? Yeah.
So let's say that somebody signs up for a program, and let's say it's a 3-month program, and they're 2 months into the program, and all of a sudden they just disappear. They don't want to make any more appointments, they just disappear. And then maybe 3 months later they come back to you and say, I want to finish up now. How do you handle that?
Well, it just depends. I mean, it would depend on what kind of a program it is. And if that would work for what you're doing. I mean, if it's...
Well, it wouldn't, I don't think it works if you've got a package put together, there has to be some continuity.
Right.
So you lose that momentum and that continuity if you've got a gap of a long period of time.
So I would put right in the contract that it has to be used, these services must be used within that 3-month period of time. So that, most everything can be kind of sit with upfront, with just thinking about it, but that's a great question. But in my practice, that's what we did, because, someone was coming in for back pain and we did a 3-month program. They did 2 months and then they felt so much better, they were gone, then they went skiing, they hurt themselves, they came back. No, we would also say if you have a new injury, it doesn't apply to this, this program. So if you have a workers' comp, if you have an auto accident, this program immediately gets frozen and you would have a new program for that.
Okay.
So, but a lot of it is just upfront, over the years they get longer and longer, depending on the kind of program it is. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, I had somebody come back 5 years later and wanted to complete their 12-week weight loss program.
Oh, sure, we can do
That's the
that.
one realistic.
What if someone can't afford it all up front? Would you suggest that it would be okay to do it paid every
Yeah.
couple of weeks or
Yeah.
something?
So we would do payment programs.
Mhm.
So we participated with something called Care Credit.
Okay.
That was something that we did, and that took us out of the equation, but it cost us 10%. So, they would take 10% if the patient got a no interest. There's all different kinds of things that Care Credit does. So that's one option. Another option is to have them, make payments. I suggest that you don't have it, so the first payment is bigger up front, and then don't do it. So if it's a 3-month program, don't divide it into 3 monthly payments, because people think it's this much money per month. So you want to get them away from thinking, so like if I want to drop out, then I can stop paying and I don't owe that money, right? Because we always say you get a refund based on services that you have not received. So based on services we promised. So then you would do that, and then we would have a pre-authorized healthcare form. So they fill out their credit card, and then we keep it on file, and then we just run it once a month.
Does anybody know of an automated system that you can set up where we'll automatically bill the payments? It's gotta be out there.
I'm sure there's. We offer them like 3 different plans, and they get a bigger discount if they pay for all of it. They get like $100 off. If they make 2 payments, they get $50 off. If they make 3 payments,
Yeah. And there was one company that we were using that they automatically took the money out of the patient's thing, but it wasn't a good program because they weren't completely honest. So they ended up, we didn't get a lot of the money that they were taking out of our patients' bank accounts. Yeah, it was really crazy. So you have to be careful with those kinds of things. Any other questions? Those are great questions.
Do you use webinars or things like that to try to help sell these types of programs? Have you done things like that?
But you mean like to strangers? To
I
offer
guess
that,
so.
or just to
Yeah.
offer it to your patient base or something
Yeah.
like that? No, I haven't done any of that.
That'd be more for an online program, wouldn't it?
Well, like, for example, you know, I have a chiropractic musculoskeletal practice and a functional medicine practice, so I'm always trying to market to my chiropractic musculoskeletal patients the functional medicine, so,
Yeah.
Oh, God, so you have an audience.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it'd just be like if you were to do a lecture or something like a webinar about a certain condition that, you know, might be leaky gut or something like that. So here's,
Or to market to outside people, you know, as
yeah,
well.
yeah. I mean, you could, you know, and just target people in your area, or if you were doing a, you know, an online, kind of an online program
Yeah,
for anyone, a virtual program. Yeah, I mean, you could. But I think, you know, yeah, it just takes, it's just a lot of, you know, it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of, you know, like and trust, and it's a lot of nurturing.
right. Or I guess you could offer group programs too, online group programs.
Yeah, group programs are great. Group programs are really good. We did a lot of group programs, and this is sort of the same, you know, you can really apply the same thing to create the program with a group program. You know, it's just virtually the same. It's just not private consultations, it would be group consultations, and, you know, it's really just kind of to follow the same format. It would be like 3 meetings and all that kind of thing. Yeah, but it's the same kind of thing, yeah. I love group programs. So, okay, well, thank you for
Okay.
coming.